Hello students, let's look at data types and structures in Python. For GCSE, especially Edexcel, the only ones we really need to know are lists. And in the exam, they will refer to arrays. And you might hear records as well. Now, fortunately for you, the data structure that's closest to both of those in Python is a list. So if I created a list, initialize a list, it's as simple as just creating a variable. For example, days of the week, I could say day, and then I could have all the day names in my list. To initialize an empty list, you can use square brackets like that. So as soon as I've got square brackets, I've got a list. So this is like an empty shopping list. There's nothing in there yet. And if I put Sunday, Monday, spell it correctly, Tuesday, these are all strings. And that's what makes this an array. An array contains all the same data type. Right, they're all the same data type. And other programming languages might prevent you from having multiple data types inside your list-like structure. Python doesn't restrict you. I could have one there, and I could have 2.0 there, and I could have true. None of that's a problem for Python. Python's very flexible in that way, but some other languages want you to keep with only one data type. So arrays, the nearest thing we have to an array in Python is a list, and if we have the same data type in the list, then we class it as array. A record is where you've got, let's just say student equals, I've got a list here. Maybe I have surname, first name of the student, and then maybe I have their age. Okay, and then maybe I have male or female, something like that, it's a string. And maybe I have some sort of ID number, right? They're all pertaining to that individual, and a record will have different data types in it. And again, in Python, the nearest we have to that is a Python list, so we don't have to worry too much about learning other data structures. There are other ones we can use, dictionaries, tuples, but we don't need to worry about those. So it's a little bit easier in that regard. Records. I'll put array here. Same data type inside list. Okay. So we've got our days of the week. Let's write a program that tracks the number of customers visiting a shop each day of the week. So we can create a variable called customers, and let's make an empty list for them. And there are different ways we could do that. We could have 0 times 7, or, so I'll put that in as a comment, we could have square brackets 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, so 7 zeros, one for each day of the week. So at the moment we don't know how many customers there are, so we're just initializing a list full of empty integer values, technically an array. And then let's say total customers equals, at the moment, 0. So we're going to keep track of them. And then we're going to have a for loop for n in range of 7. Now this is where we've got to be careful, because Sunday here is our first item, but that is at position 0. Okay, 0 is at sun is at position 0. Monday is at 1. Tuesday is at 2. It's giving me these full stops, but you get the idea. 4, 5, and Saturday is at position 6. So the indexing is 0 indexed array. So usually in exam they'll state 0 indexed array. Some pseudocode counts from 1, but Python's always, and other programming languages are all 0 indexed. So our stop number 7 goes from 0 up to 6 and stops at 7 for our for loop, which will do 7 things. So for n range of 7, let's print out a message. We can say day. Now, which day do we want? So n, when we start off, n will be 0. So I'm going to use square brackets here to specify an index of my list that I want to print out. So day square brackets 0 doesn't mean we're adding another list or anything. I know there's square brackets, is similar syntax, but this is a way of using indexing to identify the Sunday, which is at position 0. And n, next time the for loop goes around, will be 1, and that will be Monday. So I can also concatenate to join together a little colon and a space. Okay, so I've got the day, which will be Sunday, colon, space. And then I can say customers, index n. So that will start off also as 0. Equals, now integer, input, we're going to get that from the user. Input, and we're going to ask them to enter number of customers. Okay, so the user will enter a string, and then it will get changed into an integer, and that, because our lists are mutable data types, we can change that 0 to what. So let's say they type in 10, that 0 can be changed to 10 just by specifying the index. Customers index 0, we can change that first number because it's a mutable data structure. Now tuples are not, for example, they're like lists, but they don't allow you to modify them and change them, which can be useful for things like coordinates or certain amounts of, certain types of data, X and Y coordinates, for example. And then let's update total customers equals total customers plus customers index n, right, whatever they put in. And then let's have another for loop. Another for loop to go over them all and print out day at index n and customers at index n. So on that particular day, let's say it will start off being, n will be 0, so day n will be Sunday. Customers n is also 0 because that for loop will start going around and will become 0. Customers 0 will be the first number that's on the array, and then finally print statement total customers, and then we can put the actual number that we've got stored in our variable, which started off as 0 when we initialize this. So I'm just going to comment this out because we don't need that record. So let's just run it. Okay, Sunday, enter the number of customers. Let's say that there were 20 customers on a Sunday. Enter number of customers, 3. Okay, we're only getting Sunday, so what's going on here? For n in range, I put a 0 here instead of n. So what I need to do is make sure that n is updating, instead of just hardwiring 0 in there, which is a bit of a mistake. Hopefully you spotted that while I was doing it. So let's run it. Enter a number of customers, 20. Monday, okay, that's working better. 18. 13, let's say on Tuesday. Wednesday was 12. Thursday picks up a bit. Friday, they had a lot of customers. Saturday was their peak day. There we go. And then it prints out on the day of the week and what the customers, and the total amount of customers, 147. So we're keeping track of how many customers in that variable, total customers. There are other ways of doing that as well. You could do, because we've got a list here, there are built-in methods we can use and functions like sum, where we can just get all the numbers and add them up together. So the main takeaway here is that arrays are the same data structure, the same data type within the list data structure in Python, and there is 0 index. So the first item is always at position 0, and that we use the square brackets to isolate a particular index. So that list is stored under day, and we can identify any particular item in that list by using indexing. And then these two for loops iterated over each of those items individually, and in the case of customers, we updated the number of that from, change the 0 to whatever the user put in, and then kept track of the total. So we'll work with lists again. They're used in a lot of different programming, and then we'll look at list methods as well in a different video.